What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of the Darkside Fashion. Do let me know if you can't hear me, but I think I've actually got it okay for once. So I believe it's just going to be me tonight because I heard from Whitney, but yeah, I'm sure probably something came up for her. It's the trouble when you're sort of two separate sides of the world. Hello Maya, happy to see you. Please let me know if you can hear me. Wonderful, so let's begin. So I've got quite a few slides for this one. Right, fabulous. So I'm going to start with what nylon is. Let's just turn that down for now. So nylon is the name of a family of synthetic polymers that are commonly used to make a variety of different types of apparel and consumer goods, such as cloth, toothbrush, the brittles from toothbrushes, and I can't even think, like sort of a cling film and things like that. It is entirely synthetic, meaning that it has no organic materials within it. And it is, being synthetic, it is made from petroleum oil and is therefore non-biodegradable. So biodegradable is when something can be turned, what's the best way of saying it? Can be sort of made into something that can go back into the soil, basically. Because you have like compostable, which is something that can go in your like back garden, sort of like straight into the soil. Whereas biodegradable, it always needs to have some sort of chemical help to get back to that stage. So yeah, that will be something else that I'll have to go into at some point. Wonderful. So yeah, so that's basically sort of what the actual fibre is and how it is come to be made. So you can see in my slide here, as we've had with previous ones, you can see the image on the right hand side, it should be for you as well, is a petri dish with some oil in, and then sort of like the fibres coming out of it. Now obviously you don't just sort of like have some oil, some sort of like petroleum oil, and you can like magically get fibres out of it. It needs to be spun and things like that to form the fibres. So then you can see on the left hand image the different ways that it can be spun, and different processes that it might go through to then come to that final fibre. which is also what you get with this diagram here. So you've got the extraction, and they're using an acid within the oil as well. Then they heat that combination up, and then the extrusion will be when it sort of goes through. I've got another image, which is what we saw last time when we were going through about Kevlar and things. So you will see it goes through these sort of chutes, which will have different nozzles for then the fibre to come out of, basically, for each strand. So then through from the extrusion, you then it's then sort of stretched out. I couldn't find one that actually showed it properly, but it will sort of go through these kind of barrels and kind of sit around the outside of those, and that sort of helps to stretch it out. And then it gets spun onto the reels, as you can see down the bottom of this left-hand image, which are spun onto spools rather, which is what you often get a thread on, but they will be a larger kind. Hello Jennifer, nice to see you tonight. Ending with the fibres itself. So you can see there on that image how then they become individual fibres. So that's that. Fabulous. So so that is sort of like how the fibre itself is made. But nylon was actually invented back in the 1930s by a manufacturer called DuPont, which is a French company. They sort of found out that they could produce this fibre just through sort of experiments, as people do in laboratories with any kind of science-based stuff. And obviously the being a textile company, they often have sort of labs like that, particularly if they're going to be doing something that is synthetic. So with its invention, it was advertised as being sleek and of practical use, in particular for women, as an alternative to silk and rayon for tights. Rayon is another artificial type of silk, which we will do another episode on. This was then a textile revolution for consumers. It offered comfort, ease, disposability, and was sort of like stood out from a lot of other fibres at the time for its strength, elasticity, weight, and resistance to mildew, which is always a nice one to think about. Fabulous. Then, so with that, it was around the time in the 1930s where hemlines were getting a little shorter. So women were often wearing stockings, otherwise known as tights. But stockings in particular are where they sort of stop halfway up the thigh. So stockings have become increasingly necessary part of everyday women's wardrobes. In America, women brought an average of 8 pairs per year. Because bear in mind, it would have been a lot more expensive to buy silk in particular, because silk industry was mostly based in China at that time, and so it costs a lot more. When then nylon was introduced, there were what have I written it down? There was crowds of 4,000 enthusiastic middle class women sort of lining up to buy them, and they sold out within sort of that first day, and that was in New York's World's Fair. And they were dubbed the Nylon Riots. In 1941, DuPont shifted their manufacturing over to military production for nylon as a replacement for Japanese silk. So again, it would have been down to a cost thing that they changed. Or that they would have pushed to get people to buy it more. So this nylon at that time was used for parachutes and tire cords, which obviously during the World Wars would have been of great sort of need for the military. After the war, with a shortage of cotton and silk, people then started to make dresses out of the nylon parachutes. Now, I don't have any parachute dresses, but I do have... Oh, and sorry, these are the fibres made the tights, which I should have shown before. So this was an advertisement in Los Angeles of a giant leg. So nylon, being synthetic, was one of the ones that was really good for taking dye. So you can see there in the multicolored tights, and the cost of tights back then was $1.24, and $1.09. Then we have the parachutes. So yeah, from the parachutes that would have been left over from the war, because there probably had been people had been shot down and things like that, so there probably would have been holes in them. Oh my god, sorry, I can't get my words out tonight. It would have been holes in them, so then obviously they wouldn't have been able to be used as parachutes again. And obviously it was very good. It is a very good material that is waterproof as well. So it's also used in umbrellas. Oh, now I can't remember what my order was. Here we go. Oh no, I know. Yeah, so that's just prompted me. I did find some nice images of some parachute trousers, but they're rather tight around the crotch area for the men, so I'm not just going to show them. But we have here a shell suit, which children of the 90s, of the 80s will know very well. It was a big part of my childhood, standing near bonfires. So yeah, so that is yeah, that's what that sort of another use for the nylon as a fabric. But yeah, I couldn't find any yeah, sort of kind of like dresses that people would have made at that time. Fabulous. So yeah, with although nylon would have been used for tights and things, it was actually highly susceptible to runs and tears. And with a lack of moisture wicking, it then became much of a sort of concern for people to buy anything that was nylon or use it for anything, even sort of like kind of for home use. So then they started blending the nylon with other synthetic fibres, often with polyesters and things like that. And then that, so within the different blends, you then start to get the tights that are like no run tights. And things like that. So that kind of saved it from going out completely. Fabulous. So yeah, fashion revolution. With nylon being so cheap, colour fast, synthetic fibres offered the promise of an easy care, wash, wear, and disposable future. However, as I've spoken about, it's not disposable. You know, like sort of, it doesn't. Nothing happens with it afterwards. It just goes into landfill and would stay there for eternity. Because if you know anything by now, it is that plastics don't biodegrade naturally, and even when they go through sort of the chemical process, if they can be biodegraded, there's then all of that sort of chemical wastage afterwards, which has to go somewhere. You will often find nylon in such items as your underwear, socks, petticoats, faux fur coats, mock wool sweaters, jumpers, and men's drip dry suits. So again, I didn't find any suits, but I did find this wonderful image. So these are pajamas that are made of nylon. So this would have been one of the advertisements for nylon at the time. Yeah, which is just always nice to see sort of the fashions from back then. Wonderful. Let me see what else. Oh yeah, so this is another one, which again I could only find interesting versions of spandex. But yeah, so you can see here that she's got like an all-in-one suit, and then the ribbed fabric on the left is kind of what you would see like if you go to a shop and buy something that is like a bodycon. It's often made from material like that. Yeah, and then that's the last. And then I had this one. So this is sort of like maybe more of a sportswear kind of jacket material. But you can, I quite liked it because you could see the actual sort of stitches. So you can see from, where are we? This one here. So where the fibres individually are then bound together. So this is sort of like a weaved effect, but then up to this one, the so that weaving, the fibers are actually a lot tighter together in this one, so you can't quite see the individuals so much, and they end up becoming their one big fiber as such. Yes, like sports bags. I will not be saying that brand name because they are on the naughty list. Treat their garment workers terribly, as with most places. Now, I actually forgot to get an updated figure for this, but as of 2008, 12% of all synthetic fibers produced consist of nylon, which if you kind of think of the amount of fabrics that actually have polyester in, and kind of out of those, you know, sort of if you look at your clothing label, you will see what they're made of. So this one is actually 100% viscose. But yeah, if you look at the label of the garment that you're wearing, and kind of see what that's consisted of, yeah, you'll be interested to sort of like see. Like I say, there isn't always a lot of nylon in sort of like clothes. It will mostly be like a jacket or something. But yeah, so that's just one of those. But yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions. That kind of ended up being quite a short one tonight, but I'm here to answer questions. Yes, indeed. Puma, I don't know too much about. I've not seen a lot about them recently. But yes, you know, Levi as well. And ASOS for the most part. Boohoo, Shein, Temu, all of those. All terrible brands. But yeah, you guys haven't really said anything else. Also, I literally just realised that the reason why, although Whitney hasn't actually come back to me about her during internet, I didn't even give her a link, so I feel absolutely terrible about that. But you know, I can give her a week off because I know her research into the silk was getting a bit much. Microfibers related to nylon, yes, they are. So any fabric will produce a microfiber of some sort. Now, obviously, that fabric being a natural fabric means that then the microfibers will be a lot cleaner into the environment around it, wherever it ends up. It's when it's the plastic synthetic microfibers, the microfibers released off of those are sort of like the worst ones, because then that's like tiny little bits of plastic. So for anyone that eats seafood in particular, and I've had this happen when I've had some mussels once. I was, I just kind of popped it in my mouth, and I had to spit it back out again because what was inside was just a load of plastic. So then if you think sort of that's also in your drinking water, no matter how much the drinking water has gone through filters, the microfibers themselves get so microscopically small that you will end up, we all drink it daily. Yes, way. This is the shocking truth. This is why it's the dark side of fashion, no matter sort of what we do, because yeah, it's horrific, the things that sort of happen. And then Yeah, so that is sort of what kind of happens. So that's why kind of trying to buy items, and also for me, you know, as a maker, cloth that is not any types of synthetic, preferably, and also not blended, because the more a cloth is blended with a different fibre, the more difficult it is to separate those two fibres. There is sort of technology coming out all the time to make that better. But yeah, it's sort of still kind of a slow process. I knew you'd get it in fish and everything, but didn't expect it to be that it was plastic that you were eating. Yes, exactly. So yeah, so you want to kind of be careful of that, because then, you know, it's only then sitting in our guts. Plastic doesn't actually pass through us, particularly much with landfill. It takes many a decade to do that process. Yeah, which is very scary in itself. Get on and see if I can still send Whitney the link, because I feel terrible that she's not here. So I've scheduled so many streams that I presume that I had sent it to her. Yes. So it is sort of like beyond shocking, kind of how much we ingest for things like that, and also just by having it as a garment on your skin. So the skin is the biggest organ. So, you know, sort of with that fibre being on your skin, you're then also absorbing it into your skin, which a lot of people don't realise when they're wearing clothes. So it's why, like I've kind of said before, about having sort of a t-shirt underneath other tops that is cotton in particular, will just sort of like help in that barrier, and also will sort of like kind of save you having to wash the outer layer so often. So that's just a little top tip from me. And I don't really know what else to say. It's sort of this. I'm not not anything synthetic is kind of depressing for me to talk about, because it's like, so I just have like so many thoughts about it. But if there's any and obviously sort of this will relate to like the silk episode that I did, because like I said before, sort of nylon was classed as like the new silk, but it sort of obviously didn't like silk is still like a big fiber that sort of people want to use, because it has such a much more luxurious feel, and obviously your skin can breathe through it and things like that. Oh man, I'll have nightmares tonight. No, don't have nightmares tonight. Just maybe yeah, just sort of like think about the fish that you're, you know, I love fish, you know, and it's sort of, but you just have to be a bit more careful when you're kind of eating things, yeah, like sort of shellfish in particular, which is a real shame. But yeah, so that's Nylon, you know. So yeah, I hope people enjoyed that. Do please give oh, where are we? Give us a like and subscribe if you don't mind. That would be amazing. Blows my mind that someone came up with making nylon from petroleum. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't understand, you know, like with all these things, kind of how they first, what made them, you know, like sort of first come upon it. Nothing that I find really sort of brings that up. But yeah, it's just a bunch of sort of trial and error, really. And yeah, you know, as with most things, they probably were looking for something else before they sort of came up with that. So yeah, so it's just sort of about yeah, I suppose sort of just like now it's kind of like thinking about how we use it, sort of like going forward, so that it's in items that are more regularly used, like, you know, sort of like a jacket to keep you waterproof and things like that. And yeah, and then sort of so that then it's something that you maybe don't have to put in the washing machine so much. And what I've been doing since about 2018, actually, I will collect broken umbrellas. So yeah, I'm I'm like a crazy umbrella lady. I actually haven't seen any for a while, but it needs to be usually a time when it's like really windy. And yeah, in particular in London, you can see them a few times often. But yeah, I collect them. I take the outside fabric off of the wire inside, and then I make little bags out of them, either sort of backpacks, or actually a new class that I've got is making a crossbody bag or a bum bag. And yeah, so it's just sort of, you know, kind of ways of using these materials that, yeah, so then they don't have to go through the washing machine so often. Is kind of how I prefer to use these fabrics anyway. But yeah, so I think that's kind of all. Let me put up, where are we, Whitney's. Actually, I'll put up her ticker. I'll put this one in there. Oh, put this one in the chat. Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't give her the right link. Fabulous. Yeah, so go and check out Whitney. She does legal commentary on cases and is very invested in the Scientology cases going on currently. So do go and check her out. And yeah, hey to Replay crew. And thank you all for your wonderful messages every time you do watch a video. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think that's kind of it for tonight. Let me know as well in the comments what other videos you'd like to see, in particular sort of what type of fibres you want to hear about. We do need to do another one on cotton at some point as well, because that's like such a big topic. And yeah, and then I will do at some point, because I keep thinking about it, do some more sort of live commentary on some of my sewing videos. So if there's any that I don't have currently recorded, do let me know what you'd sort of like to see. But yeah, and then next week I'm going to be doing a lot more in the studio, because I've got a couple of a pair of trousers to make, so do check out for that. And on Saturday I've got an interview with Brad of what's his I've forgotten what his channel's called. A drop shot media. Yeah, so we're going to be talking art therapy, because that's what he's been going through to deal with some stuff. So yeah, so we're going to be talking about kind of the art that he's created and things like that. So do check that out. But yeah, so I will see you next time. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer and Maya. Yeah, it was a bit of a dark subject, you know. That's why it's called the dark side, unfortunately. Right, wonderful. See you all later.